How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Tell me if you can hear me fine in the comments. I'm sure you can, but let me know if you can't. This is the LSU Live Sunday show starting right now. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? How's your Sunday? LSU women's basketball just pull off second-round win over Middle Tennessee, a game they trailed by 4 at halftime, and then Kim Mulkey and company survived kind of a up and down, poor anonymous game from Haley Van Lith, and Flo J goes crazy. Probably her most mature, best game as a Tiger. Lifts the team, takes LSU to the Sweet 16. And we're going to get into all that a bit more. The whole Kim Mulkey and the Washington Post thing. We're going to have a reading of an article Kent Babb wrote about Brian Kelly, where even if you're not somebody who's given to like, hey, everything's a woke agenda, and you're a pretty liberal guy, even say if you're that, you would still think what was written by Kent Babb about Brian Kelly was absolutely egregious. Basically calling him a racist for just his interactions with just one man. I'll read the context to you. It's insane. And then Kent Babb, the same man, the whole thing's about in Baton Rouge, there's a $100 million football coach and everyone else, while LSU pays Brian Kelly millions. Baton Rouge residents and even LSU students and employees scrape by. You think LSU is the only school that does that? That's a countrywide problem that the head coach is making that much more than everybody else. That's not just LSU. I understand that Brian Kelly, got a huge check and LSU made a big splash to go get him, but every school that goes and gets that dude, that Nick Saban kind of, that character, that resume, that's the going rate. And it seems like this whole thing was just flipped with concerns with Kent Babb's article on Kelly, which I've got right here in front of me. He goes through and talks about Christopher Toombs, a diversity counselor or something like that at LSU now. And Kelly was dining with LSU Board of Supervisors member Collis Temple Jr., and he shook Chris's hand. It says, for a brief moment, these denizens of two vastly different realities were occupying the same space, breathing the same air, speaking to each other as equals. Let's see, is he okay? Okay. It's precisely what Temple hoped for when he summoned Chris here. A local basketball legend and power broker, Temple wanted to give Chris, a longtime protege, the chance to introduce himself, but he also wanted to observe how Kelly interacted with a commoner. Temple says, considering how every football town in America is filled with so many Chris Toombs, some of whom clean the homes of the few Brian Kellys, cook or deliver food for them, now they mow their lawns or play football for them. I want you to speak to him, Temple recalls thinking, and I want to see your reaction. I want to see if you're going to speak to him or speak at him or speak down to him or speak over their head. I want to see if your speaking is going to be sincere or if it's going to be racist, or what the F am I speaking to this N-word for? That's literally what he, Collis Temple, quote by Kent Babb, says in there. Temple can be astonishingly frank 5 decades after becoming LSU's first black varsity athlete, and chooses every word carefully. And he goes on to talk about LSU's past having David Duke, future KKK, 4K's leader, the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan leader, who would go around parading on campus wearing a Nazi uniform. I wonder if there were LSU students, alum, who are watching this who remember David Duke, or have some type of story who could maybe shine a light. But of course, you know what territory Kent Babb's going to go in when he goes into that direction. And so, you know, you've got Kim Mulkey under the gun with this article, and she comes out, and let's try and find her words. I don't want to speak for her. Let's see. I think it was Michael Cobble who had the big one. I don't want to speak for her because her statement was very like she literally said she will sue the Washington Post if they post something that was quote untrue or something inaccurate about her, something like that, and that they used a lot of dirty tactics, calling people saying they were with her to make it seem like, oh, she's hanging out with Kent Babb, so she's cool to, you know, she's cool to be doing this interview. Look at this, 25 million views, 25 million views for Kent for this statement here. Wow. Okay, let's get this footage on the screen here. Michael, this is footage from Michael Cobble, WBRZ, 25 million.
Former players have told me that the Washington Post has contacted them and offered to let them be anonymous in a story if they'll say negative things about me. The Washington Post has called former disgruntled players to get negative quotes to include in their story. They're ignoring the 40+ years of positive stories that people or they have heard from people about me. But you see, reporters who give a megaphone to a one-sided, embellished version of things aren't trying to tell the truth. They're trying to sell newspapers and feed the click machine. This is exactly why people don't trust journalists and the media anymore.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's these kinds of sleazy tactics and hatchet jobs that people are just tired of.
Kim, you don't even know.
I'm fed up.
I've seen it all.
And I'm not going to let the Washington Post attack this university, this awesome team of young women I have, or me without a fight. I've hired the best defamation law firm in the country, and I will sue the Washington Post if they publish a false story about me. Not many people are in a position to hold these kind of journalists accountable, but I am, and I'll do it. That's all I'm going to say about this right now.
Damn.
And now I'm going to get back to talking about my basketball team and winning this game tomorrow.
And they did, and in absolute commanding fashion. And people can, oh, they you know, they struggled for a while there. Oh, they had this moment of, you know, they were down by 4 at half to Middle Tennessee State. Ooh, they had some little some issues here and there, and it's like, who cares? They ended up winning by what was it? It was like Tennessee. It was like what? LSU won today over Middle Tennessee State, 83-56. Are you kidding me? I mean, they. I mean, nearly winning a near 30-point victory. You win by 27 over Middle Tennessee State. And it's a trap game, you know what I'm saying? And LSU has all this distraction around it, right? All this, Kim Mulkey talking about the Washington Post and all, and it doesn't matter. They go in there and they absolutely dominate in that second half, survive kind of that first, and going on to the Sweet 16, and you can't be more proud of them. But here's something that's very interesting. Kent Babb can say whatever he wants. But there's a very interesting timing of when he's a South Carolina alum. He's been doing this story for 2 years. South Carolina, their whole thing is being threatened by Kim Mulkey. Of course, Kim Mulkey wins a ring in just her second season at LSU. And I believe, 3 straight Sweet 16s that she's been here, right? So obviously very threatening. They knew it. 3 other national titles at Baylor. Now she's got 4. Don Staley, they probably got Kent Babb on the phone and were like, do something about this. So he tries to distract this team. He tries to distract this coach, and they came out hard. And, maybe it's ill-advised. Maybe Kim Mulkey should not have come out and said, we're going to sue you, and even talk about it. Maybe she shouldn't have even addressed it. But the fact that she didn't have to address it, but she still came out and said, you think you can threaten me? I just think that's absolutely just absolutely badass to me. I think that's absolutely incredible. That's something that's just beautiful. I just think, yes, when she says, others are not in this position to fight you on this shit, but I am. That's the thing that really hits you. It's just it's so beautiful. She's just you know what? You cannot threaten me. You think you can threaten me? You think you can put me in a corner here? Congrats to Kim Mulkey on another Sweet 16, and I think it's awesome that she just said, you know what? No, I'm not having this shit. And Kent Babb is going to think long and hard about, putting something out there. And guess what? Washington Post are going to have their own lawyers and their own people who are going to be able to defend and back him up in court. And it'll be a shit show of he said, she said. But the tactics she outlines, I just said, Kim, trust me, I could tell you stories that would make your blood curl. Stuff that is just, the media tactics I have seen in my time, only just the 5.5 years I've been doing this, from a completely independently funded, independently produced, independently done. This is just all me. There's no boss. There's no editor. I'm the editor. We're doing all that. And the 5.5 years we've been doing this, oh my God, we have had people trick us out of not breaking a news story. Literally, a big time On 3 reporter actually was like, hey, LSU told me, this is the first few months that I was doing this type of stuff, trying to actually actively report on the news. Since I was talking to so many of the players, I'm like, let's try and do this. And I'm like, we got permission. Okay, let's do this. And he was like, hey, LSU contacted me and said they want you to take that down. So you should probably delete that. And I had no contact with LSU at that time, so I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I probably should. That's big and that's intense. Oh, yeah, look at all the hits it's getting. Yeah, I should delete that. And so I did. And it was a story about a certain player announcing that he wouldn't reclassify to go to LSU. It was a big story at the time. It was really anticipated. He was actually going to stay in high school. And instead, he then goes and reports it on ESPN radio with T-Bob and Jordy Collada at the time, and steals this damn story out from underneath me. And I was like, dude, that was a snaky, shitty thing you just did. And he was like, so what? That's this game. And it was like, dude, you have 20 years in this business on me, and you literally are stealing stories out from underneath. But it's first time sports journalist. Like, if I told you the name of this guy, you wouldn't believe me, but I've got the screenshots, so it's all good. But and so it was Kim, you think you know the media? No, it's even worse than you think. And so Kent Babb and his bullshit, I completely believe all that. I understand all that. What I don't understand is, why is there so much constant criticism of Kim Mulkey? You know what I'm saying? Why is there so much constant criticism? Kim Mulkey is so criticized by every national media pundit. You notice that? They are always criticizing her, no matter what. We're about to jump into some LSU spring stuff right here, but I just want to finish this Kim Mulkey stuff up by saying I think it's really strange how so many national talking heads on ESPN, wherever, they're so anti Kim Mulkey. Why? Post in the comment section. Tell me why these national media people hate Kim Mulkey. She has never wore a "Make America Great Again" hat to a press conference, to a game, to an event. She's never worn one in public. She's never been photographed with one in private. Where is this? She's a Trump supporter. Where's that coming from? Like, even if she was, why is that, like, condemn her? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like, why is her politics mattering here? Because she doesn't even seem like a political person. Why is this becoming an issue with everyone else, but it seems her and her team? You know what I'm saying? Like, her and her team don't give a fuck about all that other stuff. But everybody else, a lot of these other people, obsessing about some other crazy shit, about her feelings on race, about her feelings on treatment of Brittany Griner, which is supposed to be what this Kent Babb article is about. It's supposed to be a long, drawn-out expose on Kim Mulkey and her tumultuous relationship with Brittany Griner. So, you know it's going to be woke. You know it's going to be extreme. You know it's going to be really a lot of bleeding heart stuff in there from Kent Babb. And you know he's going to try and make Kim Mulkey the bad guy. But really, these articles usually have a ton of hype, and they don't have anything to back it up. No substance. But I will say this in closing. The one thing that does worry me about this whole Kim Mulkey thing, is just like Will Wade. I'm not saying she has anything to do with the Will Wade situation. Completely two different situations. But just like the Will Wade situation, a lot of hype for an article we hadn't seen, a lot of hype for a coverage we hadn't seen, a lot of hype for hey, there's all this evidence of something. We knew it was Will Wade paying players, that type of stuff. For Kim Mulkey, it's something that has obviously made her, pissed off enough that she's like, I'm not only going to address this in a press conference, which was definitely prepared and decided way ahead of time, but I'm also going to, threaten to sue too. Like, that's something serious. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kent Babb must be saying something really bad about Kim Mulkey that's got not, substance to it or meat to it. Like, ooh, that's the meat and potatoes here. Like, it's probably a terrible article, but it's probably a smear job. But whatever it is something that just has made her go, you know what? No. I'm Kim Mulkey. I usually don't give a damn what people say, but that is too far. That is too far. In fact, that is defamation, damn it. That's a lie. You're done. And so it's we're going to see what Kent Babb has. And if Kent Babb is really serious about putting something out like this, God help you, brother. You better have the truth on your side, because you're going to swing at the king. You better not miss. Like, Kim Mulkey, she doesn't look like she's backing down. Her team does not look distracted from this. In fact, they look pissed off. They look like they're just barely getting into gear, and they're in the Sweet 16. And they look like they have a few more gears they can get to. So I would not want to be playing LSU if I'm in that bracket, if I'm in that tournament. So, now on to LSU spring football. This is footage courtesy of Go 24/7. LSU do one of the first spring practices outdoors this spring practice. And, really crazy, interesting, badass additions for LSU's defense that we're going to touch on that I really think um, might be game changers. I don't know about you, but I think when you see some of the formations we're going to show you, some of the kind of updates that we have, I think you might be intrigued by this. Let's take a look here. Okay. Sage Ryan played corner last year, played nickel the year before that, right? He came in as a safety. Why wasn't he playing safety? Well, he's now playing safety. He's back there at safety. LSU's defensive secondary is figuring itself out now. Before it was Gilbert and Burns at safety with Sage Ryan at nickel just to kind of start this spring, and then you'd see Sage Ryan at corner randomly, and then back at safety, and then back at nickel, just kind of all over the place, just like everybody else. But now they put Major Burns at the star position that, you got to really get to know this position if you care, if you want to be a nerd about it. But it's the hybrid DB who's kind of like he's attacking the backfield more than in coverage. He's kind of like a half linebacker, half safety, strong safety kind of thing. It's a very interesting position for Major Burns to be at. And I think it finally, you move Sage Ryan back to his natural position of safety alongside someone who's going to be awesome this year, Jordan Gilbert. So you've got two damn good safeties back there. It's a rock and roll move from Corey Raymond and Jake Olson, and will pay dividends because most of the big plays that we allowed last year and the missed tackles from 2023, those all arrived right through the guts, right through the teeth, right through our safeties and our linebackers whiffing on angles, or they're just not fast enough to even make the angle, getting caught out in coverage. Greg Penn allowed 4 touchdowns in coverage last season himself, according to Pro Football Focus. The safeties, Andre Sam and Major Burns, allowed 10 combined between those two. So you don't even need me to really. That's Pro Football Focus. That's 14 touchdowns right there from just those 3 guys. And but this move, it's already started to pay off because Sage Ryan caught 3 interceptions on Saturday. 3 picks yesterday off of quarterback Garrett Nussmeier, the starter Garrett Nussmeier, which is very intriguing. Garrett Nussmeier picked off 3 times by Sage Ryan, showing he can make those plays. And that's kind of what we're looking at here. Burns, of course, he's not just going to be stuck in that middle and static. But for the sake of putting it on paper, that's where we're going to put it. But put him, sorry, I shouldn't say it. But for the star position, it's usually, he's going wherever he feels the play is supposed to be, wherever the overload should be. And Perkins and Weeks, they could be off over here with Burns over here as like a third, Burns up in here, wherever Major Burns is kind of sniffing the play, where the anticipation, and then where the personnel are going to be lined up. So, he's got to go into coverage at times, or maybe they're going to have Harold be the one going into coverage. I think you could also have, instead of Whit Weeks, which who I have right here, I think you could also have his brother West Weeks, who might be even better in coverage there, and have him go out and cover, which would still free up Perkins. Still, is that lineup interesting, or should Penn the third be there where Weeks is? Because I think when you have Whit Weeks' speed, you got Perkins' speed as well. You got Burns kind of more in a natural spot, because this to me is going to get, I think, the best out of both Sage Ryan and Major Burns, because Major Burns, let's face it, poor in coverage. But when you saw him against Wisconsin in some of those plays this last season, the last bowl game, 1.5 TFLs, absolutely blown up the backfield, and he was kind of played more closer to the line of scrimmage for once. It was very interesting. We got Ryan Yates almost as that backup star, and Burns is in there as the first team star, and it just might get the best out of Major Burns because he's always seemed to, fifth in the SEC in tackles last year with 93. He's always racked up the tackles. He's actually had a few sacks in his career, had the pick six. He's had a few interceptions. He's done okay coverage-wise, but then this last year was totally exposed in that department. The injuries he's had, I think, just have limited that ability. And what he is really best at is attacking the backfield, attacking the quarterback, attacking all that. And so, I think that's where you're going to move in. That's where you're going to want to see Major Burns moved, is to that star position. And then, Zy Alexander gets back. You're going to probably see him at corner opposite Toviano, or you could have Stamps in there as well. And then, the defensive line, you could fill in whoever you want in there, but I think Deshaun Womack and Swinson are probably your best edge guys with Jackson Howard and Savion Jones right there knocking on the door. And I think that's kind of the beauty of what they're doing right now defensively that I really am in a big time approval of right now from this defense is they're not I'm really excited by the fact that yes, our defensive coaches they've experimented, they've mixed, they've matched, but now they're kind of just saying, hey, a guy like Savion Jones, for example, let's stop screwing around with having him pack on weight and kick inside, and this dude is a pass rusher. You saw it in 2022 whenever he played, he was absolutely killing dudes. And then in 2023, you saw it where he would get there, but not have the legs, not have the stamina, not have the speed to get there because of the weight gain that they had him go through that offseason. Terrible idea. And, Sage Ryan, let's stop, completely just fucking about with having him at nickel or at corner. Let's play him where he should have been playing the last 3 seasons. A position we've been poor at the last 3 seasons, basically, except for here or there. Then Javian Toviano, a guy Kerry Cooks wanted to morph into his safety. He's outside of Alexander and Ryan last year. He was the best cornerback at LSU last season. And he only played in 4 games? He was fantastic. And it made everyone go, why wasn't this guy starting the whole season? And I was someone who's saying, why isn't Toviano playing? And it was because of that. The reticence, well, no, he's going to be a safety. We don't want him to start playing corner. We want to develop. It was foolishness. I mean, and now after 2 different defensive coordinators wanted Major Burns in coverage as a safety, his 6 allowed touchdowns in 2023 contrasted against his stronger showings as a tackler, play disruptor, and line of scrimmage attacker over the last 2 seasons during games against, Wisconsin, like we saw. Georgia in that SEC title game was one of his better games. Mississippi State this last year. So what is Blake Baker doing? He's putting Burns in the best position for himself and the team, the star position where Burns won't be caught out much in coverage. And I think he can still give a lot to the team in helping that front. You know what I'm saying? Helping that front clean up. And he's nearly like a third linebacker or a third safety play to play. If this new role doesn't elevate Burns into elite territory on every snap, then nothing will. Because this is a really smart, really intuitive, really creative, proactive way to say, hey, we know there's deficiencies to your game, but you could actually be a Sunday player if used in the right way, and we just grow your game this way. Are you all in? And it seems like Burns is all in. The defense is all in. The team's all in. And, oh, God, Patrick Bet David. I love that the ad's going on. But yeah, Major Burns at the star position, very interesting. Sage Ryan, 3 interceptions, a hat trick of interceptions, and on your starting quarterback. That's boss. That's boss. I have such a good feeling about this because if you've been listening or watching or reading our content over the past few years, you know we've always said you have to move Major closer to the line of scrimmage, which is where his best qualities shine. And then, hey, if something were to happen, Ryan Yates is a fantastic specimen of a talent who is right there and behind it, who's also kind of, it seems, training to be that star as well as a free safety. He's kind of practicing at both. I need to touch base with some of his people and see where he's at next. He's hard to get. What's awesome is he's hard to get a hold of right now, which tells me that Ryan is really dialed in. But really, we need to figure out our defensive line, though. That is the biggest defensive concern, and there it is. There's Bo Davis's defensive line, just like I was just talking about. This defensive line, that is the biggest defensive concern until the season kicks off in Vegas, right? I mean, while you may like or approve of the first 3 or 4 options at defensive tackle, those are really the only 3 or 4 LSU has. I mean, Guillory, who's produced just a half tackle for loss and 0 sacks in the past 2 seasons and just half a sack since 2021. And Jalen Lee recovered a fumble, and that was about it last season for about 13 games. And then you got JUCO portal arrival, Sean Washington, who I think could be someone special. Jalen Thomas, number 91. He's a walk-on who I really have a liking to his game. Although they're household names, no. Preston Hickey, his game isn't polished at all, but he does have some grit. But I'm just not sure about the athleticism. And I want to read my guy Lincoln's comment here on YouTube. Let's get out of this thing real quick because this was a very interesting comment. My guy Lincoln Sanders from our last video says, let's see if we can make sure we got this on the screen. He says, Bo Davis is going to do for Jacobian Guillory what Blake Baker did for Damone Clark. Everybody see that? See that? Bo Davis is going to do for Jacobian Guillory what Blake Baker did for Damone Clark. I mean, that is a lofty thing to say, but I am all in. You telling me you wouldn't want to see Jacobian Guillory absolutely breaking people's faces, going off? I mean, having the season of a lifetime? Of course you want to see him big tanking. Of course you want to see Big Tank just dominating people, having 4 or 5 sacks, 7 or 8 TFLs, a few batted passes. And that's what he's been doing right now. One of the interceptions Sage Ryan had, guess where that came from? A batted Jacobian Guillory pass. He batted the pass at the line from Garrett Nussmeier. And I will say this. All the whole trio of interceptions from Garrett Nussmeier are not really on Garrett Nussmeier's, Nussmeier's fault either. One was just a brilliant heads-up jump the route play from Sage Ryan, one off of Jacobian Guillory, and then the other was he puts way too much air under this thing. The wind, literally, the weather out there whips this thing up in the air, and Sage Ryan does a brilliant reaction to the ball and just tracks that thing and picks it out of the sky. And so you have three clear definition plays of Sage Ryan kicking ass at the safety position, stepping up, making a play, making a pick, jumping around, showing like some hey, maybe playing corner and playing nickel, the struggling wilderness years, maybe that was worth something. You know what I'm saying? Because he's learned to do something even better than he could before. Now he's playing safety with a little bit of the coverage skills of a corner or a nickel, and it's exciting because either way he turns his hips, you're not really putting him at a deficiency. Yes, he allowed some catches last year, but could you really ascertain how well Sage Ryan could cover last year when you have right from the snap, these guys are 15 yards off the ball because of Matt House's coverage? Could you really tell me how good these guys were in coverage because of that kind of coverage? What you're actually calling just puts them at a complete horrible disadvantage from the first whistle, from the first second. From the second you say go, I mean, it's you already give them 6-7 yards. And when you give these type of SEC talent 6 or 7 yards to get a head of steam, it gets a momentum going. Doesn't matter how fast their 40 time is. These guys will get flying, and they will fly past you. They'll run through you. These athletes will run over you, and they've got all the momentum. They're harder to tackle. It doesn't matter how good at tackling you are. When you are constantly letting guys get big chunk plays where they're catching the ball and able to turn and move into space, and then you're having to tackle them, you're always going to be screwed. And that's just the problem with our defense is the tackling problems weren't really our corners. The problem with tackling was from our safeties, our linebackers, our defensive line, all of it. But I don't really think our corners were that bad. Zy Alexander had some strong tackling moments. Sage Ryan had some misses. But all in all, he was better than he wasn't, right? Let's be honest here. He had a few missed tackles. Everyone went whoa, but all in all, he was one of our stronger tacklers on that defense, and you damn well know it. Javian Toviano, once he comes onto the scene, he's busting people in the chops to the point that he gets a flag and gets a talking to from Kelly. So, I mean, like this is what we're talking about. We got a lot of people watching right now. This is awesome. I think this might be a record watching our show. And look at this. Would you look at this? Okay, we've got to get this locked in here. We got to get this locked in. Oh, wait, no, I can't see. I want to share that, but I shouldn't because it'll show my DMs, and I don't want anyone to see my DMs right now because there's a few interviews we've been working on that some people have been hitting me up, or some of our subscribers. Lon, you interviewed like 20 fucking LSU Tigers last year. Where's the interview with Nuss? Where's the interview with this guy? Where's the interview that? It's like, hey, with media credentials, now you have to get every interview approved by Brian Kelly. So we've got to get our interviews approved by Brian Kelly. Sometimes they're inconveniently timed for him. He doesn't agree with that idea, whatever. And we're not alone in getting, not getting the access, getting the interviews approved. We're not alone, but that's where we're at. But we're still going to push for them and still going to get them. And we actually have some interviews with some LSU, how do I put this? Some LSU legends, because in my mind, both of these guys are LSU legends. Fantastic players. I believe both All-Americans as well, All SEC as well in their time at LSU. But both of these Tigers have some controversial backgrounds, some controversy to them. And I think what you are about to witness might be some of the most enticing and kind of bewildering LSU content you've seen in a while. Because, you've got some Disney type stuff with LSU where, oh, everything's great, everything's perfect type of productions out there where you don't really see the real deal. You see behind the scenes, you see these guys doing some stuff, but you don't really see the real deal. I think you know what I'm talking about there. But this is the real deal, and I that was the agreement with a few of the interview subjects was we're not going to do this unless it's going to be the real deal, and so they're like at first a little hesitant, but then after a bit they were like, okay, let's do this shit. You're right, and it's very interesting. I'm very excited to have these put together because we haven't done something of this high production value and this strong. I mean, we've had Kevin Falk on the show on the website here on LSUODYSSEY.com. So we're not. It's not like we are any scrubs. We've had some big time people on the show. We've interviewed with Malik Neighbors. We've interviewed with Makai Wingo, like 3 or 4 different times. It was crazy how many different times. Emory Jones Jr., Jordan Allen, Ryan Yates a number of times, Sage Ryan, who we've been talking about tonight. We've interviewed many LSU Tigers, former, current, whatever. But I think this is going to really be interesting for you. I think this is going to be really, because I was sitting there, I'm like, I was on this cruise with my family, and I'm like, okay, they think this is like a vacation time. I'm going to like have these like long dark night of the soul, kind of like staring out into the water moments where I'm like smoking the packs of cigarettes, the ashtrays overflowing, and I'm listening to some crazy music. I'm listening to like The Cure, like you're listening to like Sinking by The Cure or something, some crazy shit. And you're creatively thinking like, what can we do? How can we take this to the next level, baby? And I thought, oh my God, that interview. Why have I not thought about it? Why haven't I thought about it? And I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. How can we not? How did we miss this? And so we made, a few text messages, boom, got it set up, and it's taken a bit. This person is elusive. When you see this interview, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. You're gonna be like, damn. And we've done productions like this before where we've said, once you see this, you'll know what we're talking about. So people who've watched us before know the drill here. And it's gonna take a second. And we're going to have more content coming with this. And I hate that word, content. Why did I say that? Oh, God. Because I keep hearing it. People, content. Anyways, back to the content, though. Chris Hilton, Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson, Kyle Parker. Really, those guys all show out above the rest. And that's including transfer. That's including transfers. CJ Daniels, who even I thought was going to be that leading guy. And then Xavier Thomas, who, I didn't really know what to expect from him. I knew how he was a burner, a speedy guy, but I didn't really know what to think. But Chris Hilton, Kyron Lacey, in that order, I think you could put, or, you could switch them either way, but both, my God, they could be the next Batman and Robin, the next to, Jamar, Justin, Malik, Brian, OBJ, Juice. They could be that next serious tandem. Durrell and Dupree. Traven Durrell, Dupree. Yeah, those guys never got their due. Those guys were sick. Imagine if those guys had been in an offense. Traven Durrell, Malachi Dupree. God damn, those guys were Hit me up in the comment section if you know what I'm talking about. Malachi Dupree was a freak. But yeah, I think this move for the secondary, when you look at it on paper, like we showed you before, I think that's going to help the defense. And then you've got the offense. We're also worried about the receiver. Who's going to step up the receiver? You've got Chris Hilton Jr. He's really announcing himself right here and now. And just barely behind him, Kyron Lacey. Aaron Anderson has upped his game. Kyle Parker has said, I'm going to be this dude. And who knows, maybe Shelton Sampson will come back into the picture. But right now, he said, I'm this dude. And his physical body looks the part. And that's the four for me that really have performed best throughout spring camp thus far at receiver. And just as we told you before, offensive line, Tyree Adams is that backup for both left and right tackle. And that was solidified once again during the Saturday practice. So we said something. We've put it in our spring camp notes for subscribers. And a lot of people said, Tyree Adams, the backup for both left and right tackle. Are you sure about that, Lon? On3 didn't put that out there. 247 didn't say that. I'm sure about that. And here it is right now. And you probably are seeing it on all the other sites now, that Tyree Adams is the backup for both left and right tackle. And you can see that echoed throughout our last few articles covering the spring practices right there on LSUODYSSEY.com. And it's why we urge you to subscribe, because we are going to get you information that others do not have. Simply put. Like this little tidbit. Kamarion Pimpton made a touchdown catch over Kylan Jackson in Saturday's practice. And there was some jawing, there was some pushing, and suddenly there was some fisticuffs. And there was a brawl, there was a fight. And Pimpton and Kylan Jackson both ejected, thrown out of the practice by Kelly. And pissed off as hell. Kelly was red in the face. Some F-bombs, Jesus Christ. And, people just losing their shit. And it's what football's about, baby. It's what football's about. And so you want to see that out of Kylan Jackson. And I want to see signs of life from Kamarion Pimpton. And I love seeing that he's catching passes over. He's going, he's skying. Absolutely skying Kylan Jackson. That's beautiful to me. I want to see more of that. Give me more of that. Hook that into my veins. Because imagine if Kamarion Pimpton doesn't transfer. Trades Green, Mac Markway, and Mason Taylor, Mason Taylor looks damn good throughout spring. And as you saw in that Wisconsin game with Nuss, those two have got some rat-a-tat-tat that is just special already. That is LSU's best tight ends room in program history, I think you could safely say. That's not even hyperbole to say that. That is the most talented, on paper, highly ranked athleticism, the hybrid nature of them all, the fact that you got Trades Green, who's 6'5", 255, generational freak, who's coming in as a true freshman in late May. Damn. Mac Markway, who is a complete tight end, as you've seen last year, a guy who could mow people over in the blocking game, and a guy who caught a touchdown from Jaden Daniels last season. He's the complete guy as well. He should be the second tight end, it seems. Pimpton, though, he could transfer. I could see Pimpton hitting the transfer portal, because here's the thing. LSU, whether you like it or not, I'm going to deliver some bad news. LSU are at 88 scholarships. We've got to be at 85. They are going to have to cut a few players from the roster. That's what's going to happen. And it's might be more than a few to make room for more defensive line reinforcements, because LSU need the defensive line reinforcements. I mean, my God. How comfortable are you with LSU going into this gauntlet of a season with a defensive line this thin? Let's show it. I mean, look at how goddamn thin this defensive line is. There's like 6 people there. And then the offensive line are just like absolutely loaded. It's just like one little group of them. And they were there doing a little show for Micah DeBose, big time, high powered offensive line talent who is in town. Sorry, was in town for LSU's spring practice and for the women's basketball game, I believe so. Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and an unnamed billionaire were also in attendance. We'll touch on that in the next day or so on LSUODYSSEY.com. Look out for that little article. It'll be a short one, but it'll be an article you'll probably want to read, especially when you see that Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. are really starting to unlock the fortune of what they've done this last season by basically echoing that 2019 Justin and Jamar legacy. Those two did it. Imagine if those guys had 15 games. They're probably breaking all those records. And you love to see this type of physicality out of this team so far. You saw it with Will Campbell's nose. You saw it with this rep right here. But I love that they've been hitting, but they've been hitting responsibly. But I love that Kelly described it in a funny way. He's like, you can tell they're competing their asses off, but they're like, you're still my brother, you're still my teammate. Maybe there's some comments I'm not seeing. Langston, my man. What's up, Langston? I wanted to post that thing you posted, but it would show my DMs, so I couldn't. Langston owns iconic.com. Absolutely go to Iconic. Let me load that up right now. What is it? Iconic brand. Yeah, here we go. Join Team Iconic right there. Iconicbrand.com. Check out. Here's the thing. Iconic, like, this isn't just a brand. Like, I'm gonna sell you some stuff. Here you go, man. Take it out. See it. This is about like a movement, about starting a trail of greatness, where it's reach for better every day, reach for greatness within, and it's about looking badass, and I just love. I love the kind of 70s vibe of the font that he uses with the EB. I love that EB on the back, the way it feels on my back when I'm walking around in Mexico, when I'm walking around in Louisiana, when I'm walking around in California, when I'm walking around in Utah, when I'm walking around. It feels great. It feels great. Iconicbrand.com. There are people, they kick ass. Iconicbrand.com. Check them out. Langston, he's the man. You'll see him all the time, liking our tweets and retweeting and stuff like that. So you probably saw him like and retweet our piece on our post on the Sage Ryan news with him getting 3 picks this last Saturday. Barry Kennan says, "Bro, I had all the Cure, everything in cassette in the '80s. Hell yes, hell yes. The Cure are awesome, man. The Cure are underrated. People think of the Cure as like some pop, like emo band, and yes, they have so many emo-ish things, but it's like it's actually quite humorous. He's actually doing it because he's like, oh, you're gonna be a depressed prick again, like like drunk, depressed. Like I don't know, he's just weird, and the guitar stuff is so brilliant in their Cure stuff. The guitar odysseys that he takes you on, that Robert Smith takes you on. Oh my God! Listen to the edge of from the edge of the deep green sea. Oh my God! We saw the Cure this last year, 3 hours show. They're however old. They played for 3 hours. Unbelievable show. They play everything you'd want them to play, and except there was still some stuff I would have wanted them to play, like from the Pornography album. What is it called? I have the riff in my head. I can't think of the name of the song. 100 Years. 100 Years. But yeah, that show was incredible. The Cure, incredible. Everything's covered in bass, flanger, and chorus, and phaser, and wah wah, and it's like this wall of just modulation. Just there's synthesizers but the problem with the Cure live right now is Jason Cooper, their drummer. He's a great drummer. He has a lot of talent on the drums. Why are the tempos so slow? Things are so plodding. My God, that show, it felt longer than 4 hours. It felt like 5 hours, 6 hours. I mean, it was so long because it was so. And it's like, dude, this is Shake Dog Shake or some type of fast song. And he's like, it's like, what the hell is this tempo? Like, come on, man, kick the tempos up. If they had Boris, their original drummer from the '80s, late '80s into the early '90s, Boris, he was the perfect drummer for them. The guy was like a metronome, a machine, and maybe it was the cocaine back then, but everything was fast, or it was at least intense. There was some energy to it, like maybe it was the cocaine at the time. Who knows? But now it's like, what is everyone on too much Xanax and opiates and antidepressants, and so it's like sounds like Grateful Dead in the '80s when it's bump, 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 for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. My God. Oh, I love the Grateful Dead too, but those '80s era stuff, no. Can't even listen to it. Can't even listen to it. Just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible shit. Ugh. '80s era Grateful Dead. Good Lord. It's like Lou Tepper era LSU defense. Ugh. But yeah, Barry, love the Cure. Love the Cure. And you know what I think is the cure for LSU's defense is this move. With Major Burns moved to the star position. I love it. I love it. Sage Ryan moving back to his regular and natural position as safety. Had 3 picks. Love what we're seeing there. Making plays. And, he led the team in created turnovers in 2022. Led all DBs with TFLs with 4.5. He had 4.5 TFLs last year. Sage Ryan has been underrated. He's been ripped on. He's made some mistakes, but so did everyone on the defense, and he made far fewer than anyone else. I mean, let's be real. Like him, Harold Perkins, Makai Wingo. There are just a few others. Whit Weeks, of course. Only a few. And Sage Ryan is one of them. Let's be honest. Aaron Anderson, though. Don't give up on Aaron Anderson. You know, people thinking, oh, yeah, this is about Lacey and Hilton, blah, 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 blah. About Kyle Parker, you know. And then C.J. Daniels will obviously rise up there. A guy, you know, only one of 10 receivers in the country last year who had 1,000 yards and 10-plus touchdowns at Liberty. Well, don't sleep on, you know, Aaron Anderson, because this is a dude who has all it's already we already have proof. We already know that Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton are really interested in how they can use him in a multifaceted offense, like Percy Harvin in a way. He's got that type of body. He's got that type of athleticism. He's now healed. Last year, his body wasn't right. He still had an injury. I think it was like his meniscus or something serious like that. Or no, it was what was his injury? I'm not sure, but it was somewhere. I can't remember right now, but it was somewhere serious, more serious than we thought. The connection between him and Jaden Daniels was just terrible last year. All of last year, it was just off. Now you're seeing like he goes like, dude, quick, very quick route. Garrett Nussmeier bullets it right to him. He makes a few guys miss, and he looks good. He looks like he's trucking. He looks like the wheels are there. He's fast. He's showing that speed again. And I think maybe he fumbled the balls. Fumbled those punt returns, or just the one punt return against Florida State. Maybe because I'm worried about coming back. I'm worried about beating that first guy. I'm worried about and so he's already like, I've got to be moving before he really even had the ball. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe now, just like Chris Hilton Jr., and we spoke about this a few days ago, and I feel like once we said this, now suddenly that became a huge talking point. Everyone echoing the same damn thing. We said, now that they've had a full year of like playing without getting hurt again, of just kind of like playing, even though they didn't feel too good about it, even though it was kind of frustrating, that was so significant for them to just get back in the groove of doing it and being there and competing for every snap and doing it again, because of just the mental and physical toll that an injury can do. Time is really just what's needed. And so there's sometimes players don't have that time to be, you know, to take a season where they're kind of on the back burner, kind of a supporting role, don't have to be the guy, you know. Maybe it's gonna be something that's gonna benefit a guy like Sage Ryan. Maybe it's gonna be something that's gonna benefit a guy like Major Burns, who's had that type of seasons happen to him where he's gone out hurt too early, too fast. A guy like Savion Jones, who's had to wait somewhat, who's had to be patient, who's had a season starting, but didn't really play too well last year. And then you got Chris Hilton Jr., a guy who was, of course, behind these two superstars, just like Kyron Lacey, who also caught 7 touchdowns. But he still got reps. And it was more reps than he had in like the last 2 years combined. And so you see this kind of like this okay. Are LSU's main stars on this team going to be built from guys like that, who've kind of had to earn their way, wait their time, and maybe have to steal a position, you know, in a way, and wait their turn kind of by default? They get it, or, you know, I don't know. To me, it's like, it doesn't really matter how they got there. Is the athleticism there? Is the ability there? And when you look at a guy like Kyron Lacey, I'm not sure if he's Malik Neighbors. I'm not sure if he's Brian Thomas Jr. I know he's damn good. I know he's got the body to be a next dominant LSU receiver. So get him the damn ball. Chris Hilton Jr., we've always known he's had this supernatural track speed. We've always known he's a freak in the air. But we just haven't really seen it. Now we've been able to see him for a full season. And, I think now we're going to actually see the real Chris Hilton stand up. Aaron Anderson, I think just like those guys, he had to play kind of a year like that, where he was kind of hurt, kind of in the wings, way buried on the depth chart, even behind Chris Hilton, even behind Lacey, even behind, well, he was like 6th or 7th on the depth chart. Well, now I think you're going to see Aaron Anderson step out and take a role, take a big time role. But yeah, I'm really excited about the defensive changes. I showed you that lineup, and I really think it's very interesting that they make that move with Burns to the star. You got Ryan Yates as the second star. So you got those two guys basically preparing to be the star. I think it's interesting. And we talked about Kent Babb as well. So if you really want to watch what we had to say about Kent Babb and Kim Mulkey and all that bullshit, definitely go to the very first of it. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is cool. If you're still going to be watching, drop a comment. Drop some comments. We've got 387 of you right here watching from here. It shows 211 from YouTube, and then 64 from Twitter. Sorry, 304 from Twitter. Hell yeah. That's very cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I can literally leave this on, come back here and check it, and see if you guys have posted any comments and answer them, almost like a mailbag thing, if you want me to. We can do that. I'll gladly answer any questions about the team, any type of inside stuff. Yeah, outside of that, we've pretty much covered all the ground we wanted to cover, and we're very. I mean, this is the only time we're going to get some type of break between March Madness for the rest of it, right? Until I think it's like a few days before the. Oh, wait, no. There's the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, right? And then there's like a week until the Final Four. Yeah. That's a bullshit break. I think so. I think that's a bullshit break. It shouldn't take that long. Come on. I guess they wanted to make sure the Final Four is on a Saturday, so I get it. Anyway, buckle up. Check out LSUODYSSEY.COM because we are going to be posting some fantastic interviews this week. It's going to be very, trust me, you want to be dialed into this. It's stuff, it's territory we've only hinted at, and we are very excited to take you all along with us because this is the next level. This is LSUODYSSEY.com upping their game, and you've seen us up our game all off season, and it's just going to get better from here. And we're excited about what to show you, and we're excited about what you're about to experience with us because I'm not going to be like one of these other media guys who I want you to think this when I post something. I want you to think that when I share my opinion. I want you to think this when I post this about a player. I really want you to think for yourself. I want you to believe what you believe and find your own truth. Whether it's from just reading me, whether it's reading me and watching Collada and then watching Jacques Doucet on WFB, and then you watch this guy and you read this. I don't care. If you take in as many sources to get to the truth, I do you. But I am excited and I accept and I am so grateful for your viewership and for your readership, because you have a lot of options. You've got a lot of options with LSU Media. So evidently, LSU is the place to be. LSU is where the fun is at. LSU is where stars are made, superstars are made, championships are made, and rivals are slayed. No, that was terrible. That was terrible. That wasn't good at all. Anyway, before I embarrass myself further, go to LSUODYSSEY.com. Everybody, check that shit out. We're going to have articles all throughout the week, of course, locking in with the spring practices, giving you more info, more tidbits. Subscribe today, LSUODYSSEY.com. Subscribe. You're going to want to do that. We had some record number of subscribers this offseason due to our national reaching breaking news, multiple national reaching breaking news stories about coaching changes, about transfer portals, about all this stuff. And, because we did that, a lot of people subscribed, a lot of new people, and you should join as well. We are the fastest growing LSU Odyssey, not LSU Odyssey. We're the fastest growing LSU media pay site outside of On3 out there. And if you are just only second to On3, that's pretty damn good, because On3 are, cream of the crop, right? So we'll compete as best we can. But everybody, take it easy. Have a good rest of your Sunday. And if you have any questions, comments, anything for the next show, share them. I wish there had been more comments than just this one comment from Barry Kennan. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe everyone's kind of shy. Maybe everybody's watching college basketball like I should be.